Hi guys, welcome back for another Bachelorette recap. Today we're going to talk about everything that went on last night on episode number 10, The Men Tell All. First, please forgive me if I seem a little down in this recap. I really love to get hype and tell a lot of jokes and be funny and entertaining in these recaps. But this last week, so much information has come out and I actually had to really kind of force myself to do this recap. I didn't really even want to because skeletons are coming out of the closet, people's true colors are being shown, and it's just been very disappointing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm no longer team anyone. I'm not team Peter, I'm not team Brian, I'm not team Eric. I am team Rachel because at the end of the day, she's the one that is the most serious about this entire process. Forget the guys, forget Chris Harrison, forget ABC, the production crew. It's about Rachel, and I really, really hope at the end of all this, she does find true love and lives happily ever after. So let's get right into this recap, shall we? So the guys get introduced, and I notice right off the bat that not everyone was there. And you can say that it's because, well, nobody knows who a lot of the other guys are, especially the ones that got eliminated on episode 1. But let's not forget Blake K, okay? He was eliminated episode 1. He barely got to say 2 sentences on camera, and America fell in love with him and was so sad and upset Rachel let him go. But if you guys don't know, some information did come out after that, and he actually ended up having a family emergency and he had to leave the show. So the guys are all introduced, and there are a few things that I noticed with the introductions. First, where does Alex find his suits? I would really like to know. Matt had a glow up. He shaved his face, he got a nice haircut. Matt looked a little tasty. Even though I would rather not talk about DeMario because I really don't care about him, I have to mention his attire. All of the other guys on that stage looked like they were ready to go right after the show, off to have a beautiful dinner at the Four Seasons. While DeMario, he looked like he was ready to go have dinner at Applebee's. And of course, every woman in America wants to be impregnated by Dean.
And Dean.
So Chris Harrison starts everything off with the Blake versus Waboom situation. So of course they bring up the banana incident, what really, you know, was the issue between the two of them, but that didn't really go anywhere. It was a weird conversation that only lasted a couple of minutes. Then they go right into DeMario and his whole deal with the ex-girlfriend, who he lovingly refers to as a side chick. Then we move on to Josiah and his little mini beef on the show with Iggy, and Iggy putting his 2 cents into everybody's business, and Josiah calls Iggy the rat of all rats, which I found very funny. Then Iggy proceeds to say that he wouldn't have done anything differently. Iggy, you said during your exit interview that you wished you hadn't have focused on the guys and the drama going on in the house as much, and you wished you would have focused more on Rachel. That's what you said. Now you're saying you wouldn't have done anything differently? Then Waboom sticks his nose in Iggy and Josiah's business and tells Iggy he's a joke. So then Dean pipes up and tries to get everyone to relax and get back on topic. Then Waboom lays into Dean and tells him to shut up. Here comes Kenny. Kenny, I love you, Kenny. He knows that the women of America are not having it to have anyone, especially someone like Waboom, tell Dean to shut up. So he gets up and he lets Waboom know he can't do that.
Shut up, Dean. He was talking. Oh, I would do.
Perfect timing, the perfect joke that Kenny could have placed in that situation. It was spectacular. So then, of course, we can't waste any more time and we have to get right into Kenny versus Lee. So Kenny gets in the hot seat, talking to Chris about the whole situation. Adam goes on to tell the story of what really happened in the van that Kenny apparently pulled Lee out of. Adam was in the van with Kenny. It was Adam and Kenny in the van. Lee was nowhere around. So when Adam heard that BS story that Lee told Rachel, he knew it wasn't true, and he said that and proved that it was wrong. It was a lie because Adam was there. Then much later on in the show, Lee himself actually admits that it did not happen. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I noticed a very interesting and very weird connection between Waboom, Demario, and Lee. Earlier on in the episode, when Demario was talking about the side chick, Waboom actually reached out to Demario physically and shook his hand or gave him daps or something. Some kind of interaction went on between the two of them. Apparently, they had some type of bonding moment in the house, and Waboom interjected himself into the part where Demario was talking about the side chick to Chris Harrison and the viewers, and said something along the lines of, "You've been through a lot, man, and I'm here for you, man. I support you, man." Very interesting. Later on, when we're talking about the Kenny versus Lee situation, here comes Demario, in a way sticking up for Lee, talking about the fact that they had a good rapport, you know, a good little bonding moment in the house. They got along and he considered Lee a friend, I think he said at one point. I don't know what's going on between those three, but it's weird. The aggressive comment Lee made about Kenny comes up once again. They talk about that a little bit, and Lee actually apologizes, which I never thought that I'd see. And I give it up to you, Kenny, Sir Kenny, I give it up to you for calling bullshit on Lee's apology. I just did not feel any real warmth or sincerity or any authenticity in Lee's apology. Then Kenny gets a really sweet surprise when his daughter gets brought out onto the stage. I thought that that was so cute, and it just so happens that the next day was Kenny's birthday, and Chris Harrison gifts him and his daughter a trip to Disneyland, which was so sweet. So of course, after Kenny gets out of the hot seat, Lee gets into the hot seat, and it was steaming hot. Chris Harrison himself even said, "Kenny, you're shaking. I can see you physically shaking in your boots." And I'm glad that he was. So as soon as Lee gets into the hot seat, we dive right into all of those misogynistic and racist tweets. So Chris Harrison reads off all these tweets, and then he kind of gives the floor to Lee to explain himself. I don't know what kind of sedative Lee took before coming on the show, but he presented himself as a much different Lee than the one that was on the show. He really got a lot of heat from the other guys, and rightfully so. A lot of the other guys had their say, asked Lee a lot of questions, and none of them were really answered. The part that I liked the most was what Dean had to say, because Dean said, "It's been 2 months. You could have, at the very moment when the tweets became public, denounced them, said at that moment how disgusted you were with yourself for putting them out, how sorry you are about the people that you offended, and you didn't do that. You're doing it now on the Men Tell All special, now that you're on TV again. you could have done that when it happened. So then Dean gets into the hot seat, and of course, he had to be in the hot seat so we can relive all the awkward moments that he had with Rachel meeting his family. And I thought this part of the show was gonna be a little interesting because I knew they were gonna show clips of the hometown date where Rachel met Dean's father and the rest of the family and all that. But I found it actually quite boring. So I don't really have a whole lot to say about that. And then of course, they make the public announcement, I guess it's the first public announcement, that he will be seen on Bachelor in Paradise coming up right after the finale. Then Rachel comes out in a very gorgeous dress, and I can tell by the look on her face, even though she is smiling and waving hello to the guys, just like Peter said in several episodes back, she's very easy to read. And I could tell by the look on her face that she didn't want to be there. She really has no interest in dealing with any of these guys anymore because she's engaged. She found her true love. And I think you could also see that too when Dean comes back on stage and they sit next to each other and talk. And of course, Dean confronts her. We all knew that was gonna happen, about her telling him that she was falling in love with him and then dismissing him 5 minutes later. I could just tell that in Rachel's mind, she was just thinking, oh, Dean, please get over it. Please move on. You went black and I sent you back, and that's that. Then something that I never expected to see, Rachel actually addresses the Adam and Matt situation, because Matt actually says when he got back home after being eliminated, people were asking him, how did you make it as far as you did to the top 6 when we barely saw you all season? And Rachel talked a little bit about how, yes, it was unfortunate that both Matt and Adam didn't get a lot of airtime, but she said they made it that far for a reason. I wouldn't have kept them there if there was nothing going on between us. Matt, I definitely believe, made it as far as he did because of how emotional Rachel was when she let him go. I have to believe that there was something real going on between the two of them behind the scenes. Adam actually is going to be on Bachelor in Paradise, so I have to believe that that is the true reason he was kept on as long as he did. Frederick then takes this moment to let Rachel know everything that has been weighing on his heart since he was eliminated, and Frederick lets Rachel know how disappointed and unfair he thinks that it was that Rachel pretty much dismissed any chances of anything happening between them the moment he stepped out of the limo. And I have to agree with that. I absolutely believe the moment he stepped out of the limo, episode 1, he was done. It was a wrap for him. He was never going to have a real chance with Rachel. And once again, the look on Rachel's face as Frederick is pouring his heart out, all that said to me was, I'm gonna let you have your moment, and then I'm gonna go backstage and FaceTime my boo. And the episode ends, of course, with a very nice sneak peek of next week's finale. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my recap. Please do tune in next week. You know that I have to do a recap on the finale. We've made it this far, so I'm not gonna stop now. Please give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.